Have you ever felt that there was something stirring within you, that the only way to get a release of it was to be able to talk about it? Yet, what if you turn it? To be honest, my friend, there has been something stirring me recently, and that is primarily where this video is coming from. Because as a storyteller, the freedom to say what I want to say is pretty much the entire cornerstone that's built upon. Yet, I constantly see this debate on what should be allowed to be said and what shouldn't be. And in thinking through how I wanted to address this, I realized that I think I know what the core issue that the detractors of free speech have with it is. And it's the fact that it's the demonstration of our freedom of opinion, of having our own perspective and beliefs. What we think in here is not something that can really be taken away from us, at least not easily. There are many stories about how prisoners in times of war, they may have been trapped physically, but they weren't mentally prisoners. They had the ability to choose how to perceive their things, how to be kind of honest about where they were, but kind of know that it was hopefully only for a limited time or so forth. And again, sometimes when people would just be waiting on rescue and putting that hope into it rather than being kind of realistic about they might be there for a while, that kind of broke them. But the ones who kind of realized that, yes, they may be in a bad situation, but it's not their permanent situation, they were able to survive much longer than the others. Of course, that's not to say all our opinions are good opinions. In fact, I think they're often the cause of most of the trouble we face in life. But that's probably a topic for another time. So, back into where we're going with this is that with the freedom to think comes the ability to then agree or disagree with something. And that is where people's true tellers really come out. Because the other side of the freedoms of speech and opinion is that they don't actually guarantee us an audience that agrees with us, or even any audience at all. They just allow us to speak our mind. But having an audience is why the pen is mightier than the sword. A sword by itself will only give someone power in certain situations and only to a limited extent. In fact, most modern weapons could be said to be better than the sword, but the thing with a pen is that it can be used to influence the mindsets of generations to come. So when someone says that we need to control what is being said, a more accurate translation to be considered is that they don't want people having opinions that they don't like. And for most of us, there are probably opinions that we don't like. But how we act in light of that is what really matters. Because the opinion that we don't like may be because it has this bit of truth in it that we don't want to face. Yet, on the other hand, it could be because it is in denial of any truth or anything we hold dear. And we shouldn't think of our opinions as truth because they are only our perspectives in the end. I'm kind of like thinking of it this way in that we have like these self-tinted glasses. They aren't like ruby or jade colored, but they're kind of built on our biases that we've had built in us or grown in us since birth. It's just kind of all dominated, and what we see is filtered through that. How we view the world is filtered for that. We don't really get unbiased opinions. Even something we may be unfamiliar with is still filtered through how we view the world. This is probably why I've seen these people who, when they're confronted with facts, they just refuse to accept them because they've based so much of their perspective or how they go about their day in something being true that even if the very foundation of it is a lie, they just cannot allow it to happen. They just cannot allow it to be. They may even push to silence anyone who disagrees with that, which, again, is their freedom of opinion. But what's often misunderstood about freedom is that there are still natural consequences to how we use those freedoms. For example, if someone chooses to deny the evidence, that will catch up with them eventually. It's kind of like it's like a company that goes out of business because while they see a lot of buzz about what they're doing and they have all these projects up and running, they're ignoring their KPIs, their key performance indicators, what actually keeps their business afloat. And when they don't have the money coming in, then the company goes bankrupt or out of business, however closes shop, however we want to put it. And it didn't. That's because the harvest pretty much always comes due. And for another way of thinking about it, it's like if someone were to just go around insulting people all day, that's pretty much all they do, that's all they have to say to people. How long will it be till they won't have anyone who spend time with them or even just listen to them? They'll just be ignored because that's all they do. And then they're free to say what they want to say, but the audience may not like it. Just because I or anyone else writes something does not automatically guarantee its success. What does make something successful is when there is a large enough audience that loves it enough to support it. And that doesn't even have to be a major audience. I mean, we've had historically kind of rulers who are patrons of the arts who may support a few artists and just support their lifestyle with their wealth in order to kind of just keep the arts going. And then in today's age, we kind of have the ability to get our works out to people who may not be close to us geographically, but still want to support us. But to anyone who's like, but what about my creative freedom? In that this isn't a restriction on that at all. It's just a statement that not every idea will be popular, or that even the execution of a seemingly brilliant idea is going to be automatically good. In fact, a lot of ideas suffer just because of the execution of it. And you can still share these things, even if it's just getting it out of your head and onto paper, possibly to make room for more ideas. And I know sometimes it's that step of getting it onto paper that may be the most difficult, at least that is how it's been personally. But just as you've had the freedom to write it, people also have the freedom to make up their own minds about it. And no matter how much you may disagree with their take, they are still free to make them. The trick with those different takes is learning what may actually be helpful advice and what is just opinion. Because after all, even broken clocks are right twice a day. Anyway, these are some of the thoughts on free speech as a storyteller. Hopefully I was able to explain it well, because it is part of honing my craft, and that is part of the reason I started this channel. And to be honest, I don't know what I'd do if I was told what stories I needed to write, or that I couldn't make. Or even what I'd do if I was given this checklist of stuff I had to put into a story, or follow to so forth, beyond just did the beginning, middle, and end make sense, and was everybody in character? Because really after that, what more does a story need? But this is my opinion. Feel free to share yours in the comments below and let's get a discussion going. And if you found value in this video, please like, subscribe, and share to support the growth of this channel. And in closing, I'm Jonah, you've been watching Lionsmane Media. Talk to you later, and have a great rest of your day.